What if Deku fell into the DC universe and found love among legends? Deku X Harem, Part 2. A few days since the team of heroes was formed, they have already been doing their thing fighting crime. Things like robberies and attempted rapes are stopped by Batgirl with the help of Deku, thanks to the fact that they are better at night work in the case of Barbara, or because they were trained to use the darkness as a terrain by Batman himself in the case of Deku. The other members also do their part, especially Supergirl, who fought a rabbit monster this week. Yes, a rabbit. It turns out that Kara was given the task of taking care of some magical rabbits of Z while she gave a presentation, but things got out of control. Luckily it only took Supergirl and Zatanna to save the day. Well, Izuku and Eri were buying school supplies for the albino girl who was going to start classes when everything happened. That tsunami of rabbits occurred on the other side of the city, and that's why the hero Deku couldn't see what was happening until he saw the giant rabbit monster. In the end everything turned out well and no one was hurt. But the days go by and today was the start of another week of classes for our favorite green-haired boy. Walking around the school's sports field alongside Jessica, who was talking about her training alongside her fellow Green Lanterns, in order to express her frustration. And then Kilowog says, "I'm not strong enough," she said, frustrated. "I should throw an octopus in his face," she huffed with her arms crossed and a frown. "I think he's trying to make you stronger," Jessica said Izuku, and she turned to look at him. "As hard as it is for me to admit, not all problems are solved peacefully. Of course you can handle some, but not all villains will listen to you. Many are evil beings that cause death, and the only way to stop them is to fight before they cause more damage," said the green-haired man. Jessica thought for a moment. "Maybe you're right, but I still believe that violence isn't always the answer." "I know, and I respect it. Do you know why?" "Because you're right," he said, impressing her many times. "I had to take risks to be able to change a person's point of view, and even though we started by hitting each other, I can understand them and make them straighten up. It happened to me with many acquaintances and friends," he said, thinking about Todoroki, Bakugo, and Gentleman Criminal. "Thanks, Izuku," said the Latina, giving him a smile. "You're welcome, Jessica, but I'm sure you can talk about these problems with your fellow Green Lanterns," Izuku added, watching as the girl frowned again in annoyance. "Ugh, I wish," she said, rolling her eyes. "I haven't been in the Green Lanterns for very long, so I don't know many people, and apart from me the only other human I know is a bigger pain in the ass than Kilowog," said the girl, annoyed. "Really? What's his name?" the green-haired man said curiously. "But if it bothers you, you don't have to talk about it." "It's not okay, it doesn't bother me," said the Latina as she continued on her way. "His name is Hal Jordan. He's skilled. But he thinks he's too good. He has a huge ego, and I think that everything can be solved with violence, and he attacks without thinking of another solution." She spoke clearly, which bothered the freckled boy. "He sounds like the worst guy. I'm sorry you have to put up with guys like that every time you train," said Izuku. "If Hal is..." Jessica began to speak, only to be interrupted by a brown-haired boy who could be considered handsome, who appeared out of nowhere. "I heard someone calling me," exclaimed Hal from Izuku and Jessica, posing Hal Jordan, star player of the team and the most handsome in the whole school, introducing himself. "And speaking of the King of Rome." "Hello, Hal," Jessica greeted with disgust. "Shouldn't you be going to the field with the team?" "There's no need for that. The game starts in like half an hour and beating them will be very easy. That's why he said before hiding behind Izuku. "It can't be that he found me," he said with fear. Izuku and Jessica looked across, meeting the visiting team's bus. "Are you afraid of the other team?" Izuku asked, surprised by what Jessica told him. "The ring works with courage, and if you are afraid, you will be weaker." "It's not the team I'm afraid of, but her," was all she said before Izuku and Jessica looked at where she was pointing and found themselves with the last person to get off and weren't sure what to think. She was a girl about the same height as Izuku. She looked innocent. She had long black hair, fair skin and red lips, purple eyes and a beautiful figure. She wore a yellow cheerleader uniform that showed her legs and had no sleeves. "Who is she?" Jessica asked. "It's Carol Ferris, my ex-girlfriend," Hal replied, hiding more of his Izuku as he could before looking at Jessica. "You have to get me out of here now," he whispered in supplication. "Why are you afraid of him?" "He seems very normal," Izuku asked, a little annoyed at being used as a mobile hiding place. "You don't know her like I do. By the way, who are you?" Hal asked, even though he was using her as a human hiding place. "I'm Izuku Midoriya," he replied. "He's one of my friends and this isn't a hiding place," Jessica protested. "Okay, Hal, do you remember when you told me I had to face my problems this morning?" "Yeah, but I was referring to a problem like fighting supervillains or an invasion, not dealing with crazy ex-girlfriends," Hal replied. At that moment the girl set her gaze to where the three were talking and her face turned into an annoyed look before walking away from the group of cheerleaders and walking to behind the bleachers of the field. while Jessica tried to get Hal to confront his ex-girlfriend, which he wasn't going to achieve. A bright violet/pink light appeared behind the stands, drawing the attention of everyone present and surprising the three heroes with the sight before them. The innocent girl now wore a pink dress with a skirt and puffy sleeves, a white collar and elbow-length gloves that gave her a princess look with the pink tiara included, but what stood out the most was a bright violet ring. Hal Jordan. Yo Star Sapphire. I finally found you, I shouted before directing a heart-shaped energy blast towards the aforementioned. Izuku activated full cowling and pushed his companions away from the impact, which created devastation on the field, leaving an immense crater. Everyone started to flee when Star Sapphire wrapped herself in a flaming heart of fiery energy and sent a series of explosions wherever she fled, causing everyone to run on their own, until an explosion caught them from behind and sent them straight to the team's locker room in a hard blow. Who is she? Izuku shouted with adrenaline pumping as he listened to the explosions in the field. It reminded him of when Kacchan attacked him mercilessly, but this time it was a teenager with yandere tendencies. And why is he trying to kill you? Jessica shouted, upset. It's a complicated story. When we first started dating, I had no idea she was a Violet Lantern, she said, confusing them both. Unlike a Green Lantern who uses willpower, they use love, and they're very intense about that. Of course you have to date a supervillain of all people. I swear on my ring that you're going to be destroyed when this is all over, Jessica threatened. I'll try to distract her. Hal being her target has to hide until they find a way to solve this, Izuku said and left the locker room. Jessica didn't protest, she knew that Izuku was perfectly capable of doing this, after all he's not a professional hero student for nothing, or well he was. What's not going on? Hal asked confused. No he can't, Jessica said. Well now what am I going to do with you to make her stop loving you? Good luck with that, I'm naturally handsome, it would be an impossible mission, commented Hal with pride. But a short, black-haired boy in a red shirt and blue shorts passed by whistling, oh? Hey guys, he greeted me kindly. Meanwhile with Izuku and Star Sapphire. Where is my Hal Jordan? I shouted, manifesting a heart on fire with energy. Eh? Excuse me? Izuku shouted, drawing the attention of the Violet Lantern. You're the one who was with my Holly? Tell me where he is, he threatened with an energy sphere aimed at Izuku. Izuku analyzed every possible action to take on this occasion, and from the girl's behavior and her abilities he came to two conclusions. The first, since her ring is a manifestation of her love like Jessica's with her bravery, she needs love to be stronger by doing it this way. It could be said that her ring creates the dependence on a love whether reciprocated or not, and she will do whatever it takes to have it. Or the second one, which is simpler, is that this girl is a yandere. Izuku opted more for the first one. Huh? Well, you see, I don't know where he is. You separated us with so many explosions, Izuku lied nervously. Could I know why you want Hal? I need him, he's the love of my life, he replied, lowering himself until he was on the ground in front of Izuku with a frown. If you don't tell me where he is, I will destroy you, he threatened again. I already told you I don't know, he said nervously, but I thought I heard that you were his ex. Does that mean he broke up with you? The girl just lowered her head sadly. The worst message in life, she said, leaving Izuku impressed. I'm breaking up with you by message, Izuku shouted, and a slapping sound was heard from the locker room. What was that sound? Star Sapphire asked, looking in the direction of the dressing room, but Izuku got in the way. It was nothing, said Izuku, and professionally saw the villain in a sad way. It must have felt bad to have you finish like that, right? The worst thing is that he left a smiley face, she said, looking down, and now there's a sad face in my heart. Even I know that a message is not the way to end a relationship, and I have never had a girlfriend, said Izuku, and the girl looked at him strangely. Are you surprised? Well, when I saw you I thought that at least you would have a few girls after you. I mean, you are handsome. Not as much as Hal, but who is? Said the villain. Thank you, I guess, he said, confused. Hal must be an idiot for not appreciating a girl as sweet as you. Sweet? Well, he's never read a book. Once I made him read Pride and Prejudice and he asked me where the pictures were, Carol commented with a giggle. Hey, I know it's hard, but if I broke up with you, you should forget about it, right? Izuku said, and the villainess got upset and pointed the ring at him. I mean, he was the one who wanted to end it, he did it in the most insensitive way possible, and yet you still love him? You don't understand, he didn't want to break up with me, it was that Green Lantern's fault, Carol shouted. It was Green Lantern's fault? Izuku said, not knowing who he was referring to. That slut with such a big ass, I'm sure she left my Hal to be with her. The girl shouted, releasing energy. Izuku just put together the words Green Lantern plus a small butt and the image of Jessica came to mind. He wasn't proud of it, but he had to admit that if Jessica could be described, the words big butt would fit her. I know her, and I know that they are not in a relationship. She doesn't really like him, said Izuku, and the villain calmed down a bit to look at him. Are you sure? She asked, and Izuku nodded. Then, why did Hal break up with me? The sad villain asked. He doesn't love you anymore. I'm sorry, but you have to accept it and move on with your life. You have to love yourself too, said Izuku. Listen, I know it hurts at first, but with time you'll meet a special guy who will make you feel unique and that you're worth everything. Carol just looked up to see Izuku speaking to her in such a sweet way. Not even when she was Hal's girlfriend did he say those things to her. I honestly think Hal is a jerk for not valuing you. It's obvious that you loved him. I even envy him for having such a pretty girl, Izuku commented, causing the violet-colored villain to blush. You even look like a princess in that outfit. I know you'll find someone better. You just have to wait for the right one. Izuku finished by placing a hand on the villain's shoulder, who calmed down and began to shed tears. Thank you, that was all I needed to hear. You're right. Who needs Hal? He didn't value me and he's missing out, she said with a smile and wiping away her tears of joy. Izuku internally thanked his mother and Aunt Mitsuki for teaching him to value girls and not be a jerk and how to help girls who suffer from love. That and all the times his mother made him watch the soap opera with her and he. I know you'll get the right one, Izuku said. Thanks for everything. You know, I don't even know your name, he said shyly. Oh? That's right, I'm Izuku Midoriya, the green-haired boy introduced himself. Carol Ferris, nice to meet you, Izuku said the girl introducing herself. I wish we could have met in a better way. It doesn't matter to me. I think that meeting you like this makes you look more impressive, said Izuku looking at the girl's outfit, and he laughed at all the destruction the girl caused. Carol just lowered her head with a slight blush of embarrassment. Hello, are you interrupted by something? Jessica asked in her Green Lantern outfit. Not everything is resolved yet, said Izuku Green Lantern, she is Star Sapphire. I'm sorry for everything. Izuku made me see that my love for Hal was not healthy for me, nor for the others, I suppose, said Carol. Oh no, it's not a problem. I'm sorry Hal treated you that way, but believe me when I say he will pay for it, Jessica said. Thank you very much, Green Lantern, said the Violet Lantern. And where is Hal? Izuku asked. Well, let's say he had a plan but you had everything under control. I punished him for what he did to Star Sapphire, Jessica replied, earning Carol's laughter. Well, I think the game is over, Carol said. I'm going home to throw away everything that has to do with Hal. I hope to see you soon, Izuku. Before leaving, the girl blew a kiss to Izuku with a slight tint on her cheeks and flew away in a heart aura much larger than the one she used to attack Hal. What was that? Izuku asked, blushing. I think you've won your first admirer, huh? Jessica teased. It's not funny. He complained. But it was great what you did. You stopped the villain without fighting. You just listened to her and helped her as an advisor, Jessica said with admiration. You were unique, Izuku. Izuku just blushed and Jessica couldn't help but think that he looked cute. Maybe fighting isn't the solution to everything, and talking isn't very useful either, Jessica continues, but you just have to know when to do one thing or the other. So you've found the balance between the two? Izuku asked. You could say, Jessica said and flew away, leaving Izuku behind. After all the events of today, the team was summoned along with Eerie to Sweet Justice by Barbara. After eating their ice cream and talking about the persistent today on the school field. That Hal Jordan sounds like a jerk, said Barbara. She and Izuku, being new, are the only members who didn't know him at school. Ever since I met him, he's been trying to flirt with me, but I made it clear to him that he couldn't, Donna said. He always tries to get my attention by saying things like he knows how to play guitar and ride motorcycles, said Kara angrily. He always tries to flirt with any girl he finds sexy. He doesn't care about her feelings or personality. Just have a nice pair of legs and big tits and rest assured that Hal Jordan will be insisting on you, said Jessica. Sounds like but he commented even though he still had his ice cream. Well, Barbara, why did you call us? Karen asked. Oh, remember when we said that after every fight we come here, she said as she finished drinking her milkshake and discreetly looked at all the places and took the cylinder where the straws are kept. Well, let's say that I've come at night for a few remodelings. At the moment of saying that, she opens the cylinder and does a few things and closes it again. Everyone looked at her strangely, but a few seconds later the girls and Izuku fell through some trapdoors down. Welcome to our very own secret lair, Barbarian shouted, showing the place. When the team got up from the ground they could see the place in amazement. An underground lair with everything they needed and a personalized space for each on. A training corner, a gym, a locker room, a computer room, and right in the middle of the place a large armchair and two other single ones right in front of a flat screen. "Wow, barbarian, this is incredible," said Izuku in amazement. "Thanks, it took me a while to get all this sorted, but I finally got it done," she said with a proud smile. "Then we can say we have a lair," said Kara. "It's the best." "I like the decor," commented Z. "It even has plants." "Nice touch," Jessica said, checking the plants. "This time, you exceeded my expectations, Barbara. This place is phenomenal," said Donna. "It even has a cartoon channel," Irie said with the remote control, sitting on the couch watching TV. While the girls were marveling at the new barracks, Izuku noticed a newspaper clipping on a wall, in which they appeared in their first task as a team, derogating Lena Luthor. That made Izuku smile. He felt that everything was going great for him and Irie here. But he still missed his home and his friends, but most of all his mother. Seeing the clipping, he could see the smiles of the girls, and turning to look at them, they were all excited. Maybe he can't return home, but he has some incredible friends who make him feel better and will support him without a doubt. A new day in Metropolis High. Izuku was walking through the halls towards his locker to put away his class books. The classes were not very different from what he was used to at UA, except for the practices and hero training. But Izuku was also thinking about what happened yesterday afternoon. He was training shirtless in the new lair. He was in the special training part of Supergirl, of course with her permission. While he was carrying a weight and doing squats in place, a distracted Jara who was on the phone came in. After a few seconds, Kara looks up and sees Izuku shirtless, all sweaty and exposing his worked body with scars. She couldn't take it and blushed. You could even hear a slight squeal from her. What embarrassed Izuku? Kara already apologized, but Izuku couldn't get that moment out of his mind. It was very embarrassing for him, because he thought he made Kara feel uncomfortable by being shirtless and showing his scars. How wrong he was. He had to know that he was the only boy in a group of girls, and maybe a lot of the things he does could make them feel uncomfortable. "Hey shorty. I heard something," that made Izuku come out of his thoughts. She went to see what it was and found her friend Karen along with two girls who cornered her in the lockers. The first was tall, with a thin body and black hair with several lines dyed blue. Her clothing was a black leather jacket with metallic details over a black shirt and black tight pants and dark brown boots. Izuku saw her and immediately thought of rocker and gothic girls. The other girl was shorter than the first but taller than Karen. She had a wide build, red hair, slightly tan skin and wide lips. Her clothing consisted of a yellow sports tracksuit set with white details and sports boots. Izuku had heard about them before. According to many, they were the bullying of the school and they always bothered others. Their names were Leslie Williams and Doris Zool. Izuku also saw them in his chemistry class. "Tell me," Karen said, the muscular girl with an egocentric smile towards the little girl who was cowering more in the lockers, while Doris showed a superior smile. "How does it feel to be so small?" This Karen was scared of being cornered between her two bullies. Karen's babbling only caused the laughter of the two taller girls. "Ha ha ha ha, look at her, she looks like a scared kitten," Doris laughed, followed by Leslie. "This is so pathetic," Leslie said between shameless laughs that depressed Karen even more. Doris then did it to Karen and took her hands and made her clumsily hit herself in the face. "It must be horrible to be so small, don't you think?" she said cheekily, while Karen let out a nervous laugh. "You find that so funny?" "A mess, same. It's not so bad to be small sometimes," she commented with a nervous smile, still hitting her face lightly. "Is this bullying?" Izuku asked himself mentally as he remembered everything Bakugo did to him in his years before the academy. Damn traumas from the babysitter. Because of Kachan, any kind of bullying that doesn't have explosions and lethal blows won't be abuse for me. "You know, you're right, it's not so bad being small," said Doris, letting go of her and opening the locker behind her. "For example, you can fit perfectly in here." Doris grabbed her by the handle to put her in, but Karen quickly protested. I can do it alone." She was about to get into the locker when a hand on her shoulder made her turn to see Izuku, surprised as well as the other two girls. "What do you think you're doing to my friend?" Izuku asked with a frown. "Isn't he the dwarf from chemistry class?" Doris asked Leslie, who nodded. "It seems that we have another little one." "Karen, you won't be alone anymore," she said mockingly. "Listen, teasing her just because she's shorter than you is wrong," Izuku said firmly, "and remember the complexes of bullies. Most abusive people have problems, and maybe this girl has them too. Even Bakugo had them. He had an inferiority complex caused by entering the academy. He was able to see that he was not as strong as he believed and as others made him believe while he was growing up." "Looks like the little guy has some guts," Leslie said. "Look, Broccoli, you have to obey me, understand?" Doris asked, approaching Izuku intimidatingly, "and Karen, the last one, hiding behind Izuku. I don't have to do it, you're just a bully with complexes who intimidates others to feel good, he said firmly as he also approached until he was face to face with the redhead. Doris saw Izuku's eyes for a moment and was a little scared, but she didn't show it. You're Izuku, right? Doris asked, confusing him as well as the other two. Why yes, why do you want to know? Izuku asked. You know I'm not as stupid as everyone else thinks, you're a little broccoli in my opinion who shouldn't do anything but be afraid of me, but you're not even hesitating a bit in facing me. Okay, I'll leave you and the dwarf for today, but if I find her and she's alone don't doubt that I'll continue this, she said as she walked away leaving the others confused. What just happened? Leslie wondered as she looked at Izuku. I don't know, he said, equally confused. Turning into a hallway, Doris Joe walked with a frown and stood with her back against the wall with a blush and a very rare smile on her face, not one of pride or impudence, but one of joy. He really seemed very intense. He wasn't scared of me, thought Doris with a blush. He, Izuku, huh? Well, I hope you have more surprises, little one. I just don't understand what I did to him, Karen said as she stood in the barracks with the others including Eri. Nothing. The abuser's profile says that he always bothers the weakest and lowest, said Barbara, but Karen and the rest looked at her badly. I mean, the brilliant ones? Ah, maybe you're right, being short doesn't help, Karen said. I should make my suit bigger too so I can be useful. Karen, you don't need to be big to help others, Jessica said. She's right about your size, you're a great asset to the team, Donna continued. Listen Karen, you are useful, for example it was thanks to your B size that we managed to stop Lena Luthor. If you couldn't we would have caused a great destruction at the dock to stop her, said Izuku. Let me tell you that being big is not that helpful either. Izuku said, earning everyone's curiosity. Will you tell us a story about your world? Z asked excitedly. Of course, said Izuku. Well listen, in my world there is a heroine, she is currently one of the best, her name is Mount Lady, and as you suppose she could become giant. Her power was useful of course, but there were times when she couldn't. For example, she needed more than 2 lanes to be able to move and she had to be careful not to step on someone or destroy a building. The only time I saw her move freely was in the forest and the mountains. I won't lie to you Karen, being big can help a lot, but being small you are also a great heroine. Thanks Izuku. Well maybe I can't make it bigger but I still want to improve the suit to be able to make it better, said Karen. Then we'll need the materials, Barbara said. Who wants to go to the mall? I'm going, I need my own exercise equipment, said Izuku. I have to buy some new tennis shoes, said Donna. If I could go, said Kara as she threw Eri into the air. And I guess Eri will also come with us, said Barbara. I would love to go, but I have a presentation with my father, Z said as she grabbed her bag. And I'm going to protest the use of animals in that presentation, Jessica said, taking some signs. Great, we can share a taxi, she said, and the two of them left. Already at the mall, everyone went to do their things, with Karen getting materials for her costume, Barbara who found the new line of Gotham City masks, Donna who was buying her new tennis shoes to train in, and Kara who just went for chili peppers. I need weights too. Izuku was in a sports store looking at the different weights they had. Hey Dad, can you buy me this? Eri had some pink skates she wanted. Sure, but you have to wait, okay? Izuku said, and Eri nodded. Izuku kept searching but something caught his attention. Doris, the girl who was bothering her friend this morning, entered the store. Eh? Izuku, Doris said upon seeing him. Hi Doris, greeting. Are these all the weights there are? The redhead asked. I was looking for some heavier ones but I can't find them, said Izuku somewhat nervously. Izuku, who is she? The albino girl asked. The girls in Izuku taught Eri that when she is with a stranger who doesn't know them, she can't call Izuku Dad, because it would cause problems. Who is the brat? Doris asked, looking at the little girl who was intimidated and hid behind Izuku's legs. She is Eri, she is my niece. Yes, niece, said Izuku. Oh, can I help you? One of the employees of the place asked. I'm looking for weights, but these are too light for my training, said Izuku. Oh sure, what number? He asked pleasantly and looked at Doris. And you young lady are looking for the yoga mats? That question bothered Doris. Do you think I practice yoga? Where are the free weights? Free weights for the aerobics class, she said as she picked up a 8-kilogram sand weight. Here, can you handle this? Doris was already getting very upset. Did this man consider her weak for being a woman? If so, she will regret it. This was noticed by Izuku. Excuse me, I think this won't be enough. She's strong. She needs something heavier, Izuku said. She may be a woman, but believe me when I tell you that she's a mass of muscle. For many girls, those would not be the best words. What kind of woman would want a guy to tell her nothing about muscle and ask her to increase the weight she lifts? But for Doris those words were enough to make her heart race. He didn't think she was weak for being a woman, he even considered her strong enough to say it openly. "Oh sure, sorry," said the man and went to look for some suitable weights. "Thank you," said Doris, blushing, but she hid it by turning her gaze elsewhere. "You're welcome," said Izuku. "Izuku, I want the skates," said Eri. After the mall everything went smoothly and Karen was able to update her outfit. "Ladies, girl and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the great and wonderful Bumblebee." Z introduced Karen, who came out of a fitting room in the lair with the new design of her suit. Which impressed everyone. It was tighter and its appearance was modern. It still retains its bee and wings design, but it does not have fittings everywhere to join them. "And, what do you think?" asked the bee of the group. "It looks wonderful on you, Karen." "Congratulations, Jessica." "You look great, girl," said Kara. "Like a heroine," said Donna. "Like a cute and tender little bee," said Barbara. "Dazzling, Z." "Eri thinks you're beautiful," he said, handing her a rose from who knows where. "Aw, thank you," Karen said, and looked at Izuku. "What do you think, Izuku?" "You look beautiful and powerful," he said, making the shortest member of the team blush, not counting Eric. Japan, home of some of the greatest heroes there are, from the retired All Might to the new #1 Endeavor, and in the city of Mutsu Seifu is one of the most prestigious hero academies. The UA Academy, the institute where every aspiring vigilante wants to enter, but only the most devout will be able to achieve it. But you already know that. Today it has been a month since the death of one of its students and a civilian who was in the care of the academy. Midoriya, Izuku and Eri. One, a great student of the hero class who helped everyone without hesitation even if he had to break his bones to do so. And the other, a girl who was beginning to enjoy the world, after the horrible acts of a villain. The entire academy was affected. Classes started about 2 weeks late due to the event, and many of his classmates were still in shock. Aizawa himself fell into depression, but with the help of his #1 stalker Miss Joke, he managed to get ahead, and who would have thought that now they are in some kind of relationship even if Aizawa doesn't admit it. The former symbol of peace felt helpless. He had just lost his student, the boy who helped him achieve his goals, and his successor. It was good that he was the last one to fight against All for One and that evil no longer existed in the world. Toshinori knew that the world no longer needed a symbol of peace. It was a very big task for anyone. What the world needs is a new generation of heroes willing to save and protect the citizens despite the danger, and he had no doubt that these future heroes will be the best. The one who was most affected by the supposed departure of the green-haired and the little girl was none other than Midoriya Inko. She not only lost her son whom she loved so much, but she lost everything she had left, the green-haired boy who was always with her and the adorable albino who called her grandmother. She entered into a very deep depression. She did not eat, she did not sleep, and she did not stop crying in spite of having no more tears. Her closest friend Bakugo Mitsuki comforted her in that moment of such great pain that she had, and she along with her husband accompanied her at all times so that she does not feel alone. She improves day after day, but still she knows that she will never do the same without her son and her little granddaughter. But a few days after the villain's confinement, they discovered his quirk and interrogated him in the hope that Izuku and Eri would be safe, but the same villain told them that whatever enters his vortex does not appear again. And a few minutes before the vortex will trap Izuku and Eri, in another part of the city, to be more specific, the academy. A pink-haired inventor was working on one of her babies, as she usually calls her inventions. Hatsune Mei was at the academy still on vacation to be able to improve the babies she already had, but one of them was a special one, a tracker of vibrational frequencies. She thought it could be used to know when an earthquake or something similar would come, but this baby was much more special than she thought. Not only did it track common vibrations, but it also managed to find an invisible force that flows constantly at all times and does not stop. She could see that each vibration was different in some way and none were the same. There could be similar ones, but they were not exactly the same. She dominated the speed force after her first interaction. But does that matter? Well, the answer is yes. After the supposed death of the green-haired boy and the albino girl, that same day Mei managed to capture 2 identical vibrations, something she had never seen before but that she did not give importance to until after finding out about the events at the amusement park. Mei cried for a few days for her friend, who she could very well consider her only one, but she realized something. The vibrations that caused that vortex were repeated on another plane, and she was hopeful that if she discovered how to create her own vortex she could find her friend and the little girl, even if she was not sure that it would be possible, but she would not give up so easily. A month after pure failure and error with his new invention financed by Nezu himself after hearing the crazy theory of the pink-haired student. Mei finally managed to create a vortex that could vibrate at the same frequency. That day, he called Nezu to inform him, and the mammal of dubious species brought the teachers with him. It should be noted that none of them knew what the purpose was, and the director came up with a lie when it happened that Midoriya was not found and that it was only a silly theory to be able to make an emotional closure in the inventor. Aizawa was in the middle of his class when he heard the director's call. Resigned, he took his students with him, denying them a moment of rest. "Director! It's finally ready!" The pink-haired girl shouted with enthusiasm, and with signs that she hadn't slept much, the rodent took a look at the device that took up half of a warehouse. "Are you sure it will work?" Nezu asked. The pink-haired girl nodded somewhat doubtfully and took out some small drones the size of flies. "What are those?" Nezu asked. "They're miniature drones. I won't risk sending anyone alive to check. I'll send these babies out to explore if everything goes as planned. They have a transmitter and a camera good enough to see even on that monitor." The girl pointed to a screen on the side of the device. Mei discovered that not only the speed force vibrates differently, but that every living being has a predetermined vibration, meaning that if Izuku is alive somewhere, he will vibrate at the same frequency as the people in that place, and if her theory was correct, Izuku was in another universe, so to speak, with people who saw differently, a crazy theory that occurred to her while she was having a dream, but she didn't question it. "Director, why do you call us here?" the plus R-rated heroine asked. "Miss Hatsune has an interesting project in hand that she wanted to show us." Nezu lied a little. "You can turn it on right away," he shouted, smiling. As he activated the device the size of a classroom blackboard in the circular center, a kind of yellow electrical energy began to be released that strangely enough vibrated, and in the middle of everything a small black vortex grew larger and larger until it reached the exact size of the machine. The students of Class A were gasping a little at the sight of something similar to the villain's vortex. They still couldn't forget the insistent. Aizawa just looked at him cautiously. "I think it's time," he said, releasing a handful of mini drones into the vortex. As complicated as it may seem, Mei came up with a way to be able to receive and transmit signals to the drones no matter where they are, and in fact converted the speed force into a power source, but I don't know if I would tell anyone without being 100% sure that it wasn't dangerous in any way. Everyone watched what had been done with curiosity, and Mei proceeded to turn off the machine and turn on the monitor, and with a control console she pressed some jars. On the screen there was nothing but static, but little by little the image improved until it showed a city they had never seen before, with a large building with a gold planet that said Diary of the Planet. "It works. It works," Mei shouted excitedly, shedding a few tears, and Nezu, who was watching the screen, couldn't help but feel happy. Izuku and little Eri could be alive, and there might be a way to bring them back if everything went well. "Hatsune-san, what is that?" Power Loader asked, but received no answer. "Well," the pink-haired girl was seeing a kind of radar on her controller. "I found a similar vibration," she murmured, only heard by Nezu, who nodded happily. "It's close, Director." "It could be them," she shouted with teary eyes, confusing everyone. Who was he talking about? And why was he more excited than usual? On the screen the drones moved around the city and the teachers along with Class A. I could see how incredible and confusing it was. There were no heroes patrolling anywhere, no strangely colored people or extra limbs, not even a person with unusual hair. Everything seemed normal. Mei also noticed it, and she also noticed that people were talking and the writings were in English. Luckily the drones have a translator, and when audio was transmitted I could understand it in Japanese. It would sound robotic, but I would understand it. And finally he reached the signal that he captured earlier in the window of a building that was open, causing one of the drones to enter. The others were confused. Did she just spy on an apartment? But the men noticed something. The apartment was flowery, tidy, and seemed well decorated with some pictures of feminine taste, and they understood it was a girl's apartment. The teachers blushed a little, as did the young people, and well, Mineta and Kaminari were excited. More girls and the teacher also noticed these details and asked in their subconscious that the woman who lives in that apartment not be there at that moment. But they dropped everything when they heard someone come in, or rather, some people that the spy drone quickly captured. "I can't believe the League needs him?" Kara said, a little annoyed. "Why is it him and not me?" "Calm down, will you? The League called him because he is the one with the most experience of us, and the League needs muscle for that battle," Donna asked, patting him. "I'm surprised he's a member in training to enter the League," said little Karen. "My cousin asked me before we were a team, that I could be trained by them, but I refused at that time. I didn't want to be a heroine," said Kara. "My father and one of his friends also asked me, but I told them that the show was my dream not to be a heroine, hee and look at me now," Z said with a smile. "The Green Lanterns are already an organization and she barely qualified as a Green Lantern in training," Jessica said, holding a small butterfly with her ring. "I asked him to bring me an autograph of Batman," Barbara said enthusiastically. Where is she? Donna wondered as she searched the place for a certain albino girl, when the door behind them was opened. Eerie. She screamed and went to hug the girl who was carrying a backpack. What's wrong, Donna? Eerie asked, taking off her bracelet and putting it away on the table, and her little horn came out. Oh Eerie, with that little horn you are so cute, Kara said. It was no longer a secret to anyone on the team that the blonde had a weakness for cute things. I wished for the magic rabbit incident and all the times that Kara held back a squeal every time Eerie did something cute. In the warehouse everyone was watching the group of young people. Some of the girls were jealous and envious when they saw how attractive they were. The boys, especially Mineta, blushed at the same thing, even Bakugo and the always expressionless Todoroki, which made the girls more jealous because they immediately caught the boys' attention. But everyone is impressed by what they said, especially when the Latina girl created a green energy butterfly. But what surprised, shocked and brought tears to everyone was seeing an albino girl with ruby eyes. At first they weren't sure, but when the black-haired teenager shouted her name and the girl pulled out a little horn, there was no doubt. Eerie. Aizawa smiled, shedding a few tears, as did everyone else. Yes, 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 shouted the crazy inventor. Hatsune, she is Eerie? But how? Midnight shouted. After an hour of explanation and watching little Eerie interacting with the girls behind the screen, they finally understood. So, Izubro is also alive? Shouted the red-haired boy, shedding some manly tears. I knew the nerd couldn't be killed that easily, Bakugo said with a frown, but if you looked closely he also had a small smile. He's like a damn cockroach, it doesn't matter if you think he's dead, he's still alive. Shonen. All Might was shedding tears of joy and stopped suddenly. He remembered a short green-haired lady who would be very happy about the news. Excuse me for a moment? All Might went with his phone to make a few calls not only to the green-haired lady, but also to a trio of heroes who were very good friends of the two young men they had just met. Hatsune-san, where is Deku-kun? Uraka asked. The average crazy inventor trying to find his location. Looks like I got him. He's on the other side of that city apparently. I shout and send one of the drones flying. A few minutes later they saw something on the screen that impressed them a lot. Parts of the city were destroyed, with cars on fire and police everywhere. But what impressed everyone the most? It was that Izuku met a group of what seemed to be heroes. A black-haired woman in a revealing outfit, who would make the United States proud, a sword and shield. But mostly the men blushed at the woman's legs along with her well-proportioned DD cup breasts. Midnight felt jealous of the woman on screen and pouted. A man in a tight blue suit with a red top and boots and an S in the middle of a shield on his chest, who was flying. Another man in red tights with yellow rays who, when running, left a yellow trail thanks to his rays. Many noticed that this speed seemed unreal and that not even the best pro hero with a running quirk would keep up with him. Another man in a tight suit, but unlike the first ones he looked darker, almost like a villain. He had a bat on his chest and a cape and mask that also resembled said animal. Midnight blushed when she saw him and rubbed her thighs discreetly. Izuku was also with them but in his Deku suit. And the other thing that stood out was a trio of muscular Fran men. A large, muscular man with gray skin and white hair wearing a torn suit with a furious expression grabbed a truck from the street and threw it at the man in black who dodged it, thanks to a flying hook he possessed. The other was a reptilian-looking man with fangs and only wearing pants. The other was a large man with a skull-shaped mask and a tube connected to the back of his neck. They didn't have to be geniuses to know that it was a fight between heroes and villains. Well, let's finish this quickly, the sprinter said. We've been trying to stop them for an hour now. How come they're together and in the same city? The confused Deku asked. He had read reports of these villains and as far as he knows none of them work together. That Killer Croc was from Gotham? He escaped from the sewers of Gotham and arrived in Metropolis, explained Batman. When we defeat him I'll take him back. Yes, and I think Bean just wants to get revenge on you, Wonder Woman said. At the beginning of the fight, it will only be the Grey Giant and the Crocodile. Gromdy, smash! The Grey Giant shouted. I feel like you stole a line? Flash said, Suppa help. Superman fired a laser beam from his eyes at the Grey villain while Flash spun his arms to create a pair of tornadoes that hit the villain squarely. Deku jumped into combat against the masked man alongside Batman. Smash! I screamed as I hit him in the chest, sending him flying a few meters. I knew you'd be useful, Batman said. At the beginning of the fight they were barely able to handle the unpredictable combination of villains, but Batman had the idea to contact Izuku. Wonder Woman used her shield to repel the lizard man, and with her sword she launched one or another slash. Bean got up from the ground and tapping his bracelet a liquid passed through his neck, Bean's muscles began to grow and his veins were more noticeable. Erg! The villain shouted, launching himself back into combat against Deku and Batman. Batman used his explosive batarangs while escaping the onslaught with his flying hook. Deku jumped with full cowling activated and launched himself at the villain with one leg bent. St. Louis smash, he shouted, giving him the stop on his side. He only used 20%. This villain reminds me of Muscular but in a cheap way, Deku said to Batman. I don't know who it is, but be careful, Bean is an expert in fighting, said Batman, and Deku nodded. Wonder Woman was in her solo fight with Killer Croc. What's wrong, sweetie? Your team left you alone? The Green Man asked mockingly. Maybe I'll devour you when this is over. You look delicious, he said, wiping away his drool. He was hungry and a scantily clad woman in front of him made his stomach growl. You are despicable, he said, throwing his shield at the war hero of a certain comic book. Superman and Flash were cornering Solomon Grundy. I think you should use your fists, said Flash as he got tired of hitting the zombie's hard skin. Superman came down and gave a powerful blow to the villain's face and they began a fierce battle. Wow, he muttered as he watched the epic fight between alien and zombie. Deku had been at bay while Batman prepared a dart gun with a special tranquilizer for the villain. Delaware. Smash. He threw a punch to the fighter's stomach. Batman, it's time. Batman fired the weapon, giving Bean the tranquilizer in his shoulder. The villain began to feel dizzy until he fell face first to the ground. I think you should help Diana, I'll go with Super, said Deku, launching himself against the zombie. While Batman went to assist the Amazon. Come on baby, it's just one bite, the crocodile sadistically asked. Man, like you don't understand, no? The Amazon joked a little, kicking the villain. The villain got back up but, some Batman ropes caught him and the hero of the night, who today are daytime, injected him with a dose of tranquilizer specially designed for the killer crocodile. Thanks Batman, said Wonder Woman, giving the Dark Knight a hug. Could you let me go? The man asked. No, the woman said with a certain grace. In the fight against Grundy, Superman was giving his best attacks to the zombie while Flash distracts them with his speed and gives him a few quick attacks. Superman. Watch out, Deku shouted, activating his 100%, he knew that the villain would not die with that and then he hit him in the jaw, sending him flying. Deku jumped, prepared his leg to give the final attack to the zombie. Carolina, smash, he shouted with a spinning leg that sent him down. When he crashed against the pavement, the villain ended up a few meters buried in a crater. I think that's all? Deku said, landing and receiving a hug from a proud Wonder Woman and a thumbs up from Batman, which was quite an achievement for many. The heroes and students had just seen a big fight between people they had never seen before. Along with Izuku's amazing development as a hero, no one said anything until the final part happened where Izuku defeated the big gray villain and received the hug of the scantily clad woman. Damn Midoriya, Mineta shouted, one worried about him, and that broccoli is with a hottie like that. Uraka just watched the scene with jealousy and the other girls did too, but only because the boys had a great impression of the heroine. Midnight saw the heroine's behavior with the Batman, and knew that there was something between them, but the woman and her student, the teacher, could see in the face of that heroine that she was proud and was happy that Izuku was saved. That woman saw Izuku as a little brother, according to Midnight. A few hours later, Hatsune's drones had to rest. The local people, especially Izuku's friends, went and hugged the crazy inventor, trying to bring their friend back to them. All Might, who witnessed the entire fight when he arrived, is proud of his student and how much he has grown. In those couple of hours, a trio of sad heroes who were previously known in the academy as the Big Three arrived at the place. And a short woman that many recognized as Izuku's mother and another ash-blonde woman resembling Bakugo that few recognized as the Muslim's mother arrived. After explaining what had happened, Inko burst into tears and hugged the inventor tightly along with her friend Ash, who was also shedding a few tears. The Big Three also cried when they learned that their friends were safe. What do you say? Do you want to see them? May asked, taking the controller and turning on the screen. Moving their drones around the city to the amazement of the newcomers, a drone flew through the window of an apartment full of young girls, but what stood out was that Eri was with them watching the news of what happened in the battle. Eri. Mirio smiled when he saw the albino girl and Nehire covered her mouth to keep from screaming when she saw her. Tamaki just smiled with a few tears. But Inko was happy, relieved that the little girl was okay. She cried with joy when she saw her. Did Midoriya really fight those villains? Nehire asked. Yes, him and a group of heroes, answered the busty girl in the class. And you should have seen the beauty they have with them, Kaminari shouted, but a volley of Jiru's jacks knocked him down. I better shut up. It didn't take long for the door to open and the spy drone saw an Izuku who looked a little exhausted next to a beautiful black-haired woman in a white shirt with an open red blouse and tight jeans and low heels, and many blushed at the sight of her. "Daddy." "Hey Eri, did school go well?" Izuku asked, letting go of the. "Yes, the other children are very kind and the teacher is very good," she said excitedly. "Eri, what's wrong? Isn't there a hug for Aunt Diana?" Diana asked, pretending to be sad. "Of course Aunt Diana," I shouted, jumping to the Amazon. "You were great in that fight, Hero Deku," said Donna from the couch with the other girls. Izuku approached them and greeted them. "I don't think it's that big of a deal, the main members of the Justice League were also there." "Yes, but you stand out more, being a hero that they never saw with them and who defeats Bean and Solomon Grundy," said Kara, giving the green-haired boy a little punch. "Well done, Green Bunny." "Green Rabbit? Don't tell me that's what the media called me?" Izuku asked, embarrassed. "I think it's cute, honey, how you look like a bunny in your suit," Z said flirtatiously as she sat down next to Izuku. "Besides, I'm a magician, and remember that one day I'll pull you out of my hat, honey." "Leave it, Z, you're making him red," Jessica shouted with support from Donna and Kara. "They're just jealous that Bunny prefers me over you," Z said. "What are you talking about? He's our friend," Donna shouted, embarrassed. "Besides, Izuku can't prefer us over another," said Barbara, drawing the attention of the others. "Don't you know that?" "Well, Izuku at some point does prefer one over the other. He's so innocent that he'll surely fall in love," said the redhead, blushing at Izuku and the girls. "Although, thinking about it, if Izuku and I are a couple, Eri would be my daughter." "Oh. Hell no." Donna screamed. "I won't allow it." "What my little sister meant is that she wants to be Eri's future mother," said Diana, blushing at her sister and more at Izuku. "But why don't you share it? My mother once told me that there were men who had several girlfriends, and if the problem is marriage, in Themyscira they can all marry him," she said, blushing at everyone who doesn't want to. "Oh. I'll have lots of mommies," Eri shouted. The girls just blushed and everyone thought about a wedding with the green-haired boy, but more so a certain trio that included an Amazon, a magician and an alien. If they were impressed before, now they were even more impressed. First, Izuku's mother and self-proclaimed aunt saw the green-haired boy once again, bursting into tears, but he was not alone, but accompanied by a black-haired beauty that many recognized as that heroine in a revealing outfit. But they also saw the connection Eri had with her, to the point of calling her aunt. Many came to the conclusion that Midnight was because that woman saw Izuku as a little brother. But what impressed everyone the most, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone, it was the flirting and insinuations that they threw at Izuku. And not only that, but they also seemed to be fighting to be her partner and Eri's mother. Even Mineta cried blood when the black-haired beauty said that he could marry all of them in a place they had never heard of. "My son is growing so fast in that place," Inko shouted, blushing. "Damn, Midoriya was flirting with beauties while we were crying!" Mineta shouted, but Tsuyu hit him with her tongue. "I never thought Midoriya was one of those," Jiru said, blushing. "I thought he was a cinnamon roll, not into that womanizing stuff," said Momo, covering her mouth in a rich girl style. "Damn nerd," Bakugo shouted, a little jealous. "Well, we already know where it is and we can see it whenever we want and we have the director's permission," said Hatsune. "Now we just need to invent a way to go to that place and come back." "I know 2 scientists who will be able to help without hesitation," said Toshinori, thinking of a certain father and daughter from an artificial island. A few days have passed since the hero Deku and his group of friends joined together, to the point of being considered something like a junior version of the League, especially because they have youthful and female versions of the most famous members. But for Deku that was not the problem, but the fact that since he first appeared as a hero in the city the media mistakenly called him Green Bunny, he had an identity conflict with that name. It was not his fault that his suit was inspired by his idol and that by coincidence his mask looks like bunny ears and his mouth covers teeth. On more than one occasion when he saved someone they always told him, "Thanks Green Bunny," he is determined to quickly become known as Deku. Another thing that happened these days was that sometimes he felt watched. He couldn't say if it was true or he was paranoid, but since Bane's thing he feels that someone or something is watching him. Another thing that happened was that he made his first male friend at school. It turns out that Doris had him cornered in the library to take his lunch money. Curious, but when Doris saw him she left the boy alone and left. The boy was short and in a certain way reminded him of the boy's personality. He wore blue shorts and a red shirt, his black hair with a raised tuft and blue eyes, Garth Bernstein. They became friends when they saw that they had many things in common. According to Kara, nerdy things, like comics and science fiction, superheroes help people. Although when the two of them helped it was only with children who were lost and cats stuck in trees, Izuku would not reveal that he saved people as a hero. But he wouldn't hesitate much because he discovered that the boy has powers, not only that, but the powers of Aquaman. Izuku discovered it when he saw him controlling the water from a bottle while training. Izuku to be even also told him that he was the hero Deku. But Garth mistook him for Green Bunny, causing Izuku's irritation. Izuku and Garth sometimes trained together on the beach or in ponds, and according to Izuku, the boy could be a good ally. Then the man said, "That's my secret, I'm always angry," and with one blow he stopped that flying thing. Garth and Izuku were talking with the girls about a movie they saw. My favorite was the one with a shield, that's how to say it, very patriotic. Izuku mentioned a certain hero from the movie who according to him was fabulous, and more so the fact that without having flashy or powerful superpowers he was the leader of the group. I don't like those kinds of movies, but it sounds great, maybe I'll watch it, Kara said while crossing her arms. Well, we can go see it this Sunday, said the enthusiastic Barbara. She liked everything that had superheroes and action. Sounds like a good plan, I'm in too, said Jessica. Ah, if everyone is going to see it, I want it too, said Z, although he only wanted to know the things that a certain green-haired boy liked. What do you say, Izuku? I know you've already seen it, but maybe you'd be interested in going again, and with a group of pretty girls, right? Well, Izuku scratched the back of his neck with a blush. He still wasn't used to a girl's flirting. Well, Izuku will go with me, it makes sense after all, we live together, said Donna, emphasizing the living together part to a certain mage who frowned. It sounds strange how you say it, Karen commented, but since everyone is going, I don't want to be left out too. Oh, this is fabulous, I'll be able to see her again with more friends, said the short boy. Although most of the girls already knew him, they were never more than companions until Izuku introduced them to the boy, and they had to admit that they liked him. He was good company and a great friend. Izuku, I told my father about you and he's curious, he wants to meet you, Z said. My aunt told the situation of Izuku and Eri to her father, who is a powerful magician. Maybe if he comes tonight you can go to my house to meet him, you could even have dinner with us. Well, maybe she would take advantage. Sure, it would be a pleasure, Z. Izuku obviously saw no other intentions in the magical girl and accepted to Donna's annoyance. It seems like you're inviting your boyfriend to meet your father, Kara said mockingly. Maybe mine should meet Izuku too, ha ha ha. Girls, stop it. Look how they put Izuku, Jessica said, pointing a finger in the direction of the aforementioned, and in everyone's opinion it seemed like a phrase. Her red face, her freckles and green hair made her look like said fruit. Hey, old man, relax, it's nothing like that, said his friend, trying to get rid of his shyness. Changing the subject, Barbara said, drawing attention by becoming serious, haven't you felt like you're being watched lately? And it was true, they all felt that sensation of being watched. Garth only felt it when he was with the girls and Izuku. Yeah, what do you think it is? A serious Z asked. I have a feeling they won't do anything bad, but still, having you under surveillance is alarming. I couldn't feel any hostility either, it was like they just wanted to know who we are, but maybe they're gathering information about us, Donna argued. If someone or something is watching them, maybe they want to know about them, and that would be dangerous. Not only could they know their identities, but they would put their families and friends in danger. Well, until nothing bad happens, we should just try to behave normally, Jessica said. In the Diana department, it was one of the only places where Eri could stop wearing the bracelet and show her little horn freely. The albino girl was reading a children's book about fairy tales in the comfort of the living room sofa. Donna is by his side watching her favorite show, a group of women who did everything to stop the forces of evil. Diana met them. It's not every day that the earth is so peaceful without attacks from villains or madmen wanting to destroy or conquer the world. But the sisters were also in a somewhat low conversation about a certain green-haired boy. So Z invited him to her house to introduce him to her father. What should I do, sister? Donna finished telling what happened with the magician. Donna, you have nothing to worry about, she'll just meet her father, it's not a date or anything, she said it was? I asked, receiving a shake of my head. See, you don't have to be jealous, but if you feel like you're losing ground, your older sister could help you, you know? Recently Batman has stopped rejecting me, and in fact he even asked me out. It was no secret that the Amazon liked the Dark Knight, even Eri knew it, but it was amazing for everyone to see a blushing Batman invite her out and have dinner at his mansion. Who knows, little sister, maybe in a short time you'll have a brother-in-law. Don't say things like that. Ah, you know, you might be right, I have to prove that I won't back down with Izuku, Donna said. Back up with daddy? Eri said, looking up from her book. What does that mean? Donna mentally cursed herself for raising her voice. Nothing, Eri. It's just that Donna doesn't plan on giving in to true love, Diana replied, though it only left Eri more confused with question marks above her head. In another part of the apartment, Izuku was taking a bath. He needed one after the training session he had with Kara and Jessica. The girls could be considered the perfect team with a little more practice. Kara was a fighter, unafraid to give her all, and with her heat vision and icy breath she could attack at medium and long distance. On the other hand, Jessica was very versatile, but she concentrated more on protecting her team and people, being a support with her constructions, and on more than one occasion she managed to catch him or deceive him. Even though it may not seem like it, they fought very well together, and on more than one occasion they almost managed to defeat him. Maybe I should increase my training? Should I ask Diana or Bruce to train me or give me a routine? Izuku muttered ways to increase his performance and have better control of one for all. Until now he could only use 60% and it caused great fatigue and load on the body, so Izuku only attacked with 20 or 40. I was so deep in thought that I didn't notice a person who came through the bathroom wall. Izuku decided it was time to leave. He got up from the tub and prepared to grab his towel, but turning his head he noticed a girl with green skin and short red hair who was looking at him curiously. "Oh? Hi, this is Erie's house, right?" the girl asked, entering the bathroom completely. She had a tight black suit with a red X on the top and a blue cape. The girl looked like a female version of Martian detective. That's a pen hash. Oh, I didn't know men had one until I read it in a biology book. It's funny, but yours seems bigger than what I researched in the book," said the girl without taking her curious look at Izuku's part. Instead, the green-haired man is on the verge of collapse. First he was taking a bath and the next moment a girl who in his opinion was cute is with him in the bathroom watching him naked. He had no choice but to scream at this moment. "Ah!" Izuku's scream echoed throughout the apartment. Donna and Diana ran out to see what happened. "What's going on?" Donna screamed, opening the door without thinking that she would find what's wrong. "Izuku, why are you screaming? Kya?" Donna screamed, embarrassed to see her friend naked. The most embarrassing thing was that she even saw his p-n-. It was red hot. "Oh my gosh, Izuku, what is Megan doing here?" Diana asked, looking at the green girl. "Hi Diana, I came to see Irie," said the one now known as Megan. "I didn't know where he was, so I decided to enter this room at random and I found him." "Sky, Izuku, I think you should cover yourself and go change," Diana said, passing him the towel. Yes, Izuku said, taking her and quickly leaving the bathroom. I saw it, I saw it." Donna screamed, embarrassed with an atomic blush. "There are these young people," said Diana, taking Donna out of the bathroom with Megan. "I must say you are lucky, sis." Luck, why?" asked the confused and still blushing Donna. "You'll understand when the time comes. Maybe I should make Izuku's room soundproof for when the time comes. I wouldn't want to wake up to noises of dubious origin." Donna understood what her sister was saying, blushing more and fainting in the process. "What does that mean, Miss Diana?" asked the confused Megan. "You'll understand that when the time comes too, but I doubt John will let that happen," he mentioned. After a few minutes Izuku returned to the living room, but he didn't dare to look Donna or Megan in the eyes. Donna had just woken up and still couldn't forget what she saw. She was so embarrassed that she couldn't even look at Izuku without blushing. "Megan, they are normal." It turns out that for her it was not so embarrassing after all. She was very innocent according to Diana about earthly customs. It turns out that Megan and Irie met at the watchtower when Irie was visiting with Diana. The Martian and the albino became friends quickly and spent their time playing until Irie had to leave. Before leaving, Irie told her that if she wanted she could go visit her and they would play again. And now in the living room was a happy Irie and a smiling Megan watching a TV show about three crazy cat brothers who were always doing crazy things and lived in a water tower in the studios of a successful network. Irie had already introduced the girl, although Izuku learned from Diana that her name was Megan. It turns out that she is John's niece, and she came not only to visit Irie, but also to learn about the land and its customs and how to be a normal teenager with the help of Donna and Izuku. "So, we have to teach her to be a normal teenager?" Donna asked. "I guess the green skin can be camouflaged with her shapeshifting, but what this girl considers moral." Donna thought about the bathroom incident and how the Martian seemed unaffected by it. "Oh, those brothers are so funny," said Megan, smiling at Irie. "Yes, they are one of my favorite shows." Irie smiled. "If we have to teach her to be a normal girl, we should invite her with us to the movies," said Izuku, and Irie looked at him with stars in her eyes. "Oh, can I go? Can I say yes, please?" she asked in a childish and tender way. "Sure, you can come with us, you have Megan, I just have to let the others know," said Donna, taking the landline. After telling the girls and Garth about Megan and her mission to make her act like a normal girl, they all decided to help as well and agreed to meet at the cinema. Megan changed her skin tone to a slightly more human one. Somewhat tan skin and her red hair made her look pretty according to Irie. and she couldn't go dressed in her suit, so she opted for more common clothes like a yellow sleeveless tank top that highlighted her D-cup breasts, tight jeans and white sneakers. Eri was carrying Megan in her arms. Eri was wearing what she normally wears when she goes out, a beige sweater and some pants and her boots. Donna was wearing as usual a white shirt under a red sweater and a blue skirt, white thigh-high stockings and her low-heeled shoes. Izuku wore a white shirt with the words hero on it under an open sweater that Z gave him. The sweater was very embarrassing for Izuku, but he couldn't reject it when Z made it with so much love for him, and he gave it to me when he gave it the puppy dog eyes. The sweater was green, but the embarrassing thing is that on the hood there are bunny ears. That's why Izuku wears it without a hood. It has pants and his iconic red sneakers. Everything would be normal if it weren't for a small detail. Why are we doing this? Izuku asked, as his arm was being hugged by Megan while she had Eri in her other arm. I saw this on TV. A girl had a guy in this position while she had a little boy in her arms. Megan replied. Eri would have to be smaller for it to be totally accurate, but it works. It turns out that before leaving, Megan saw a commercial about a woman who had a son and was going with her husband to buy him clothes. She thought that was something common that you could do at any time. Well, it was, but only for couples. Donna was watching the scene with envy and wanted to be in the Martian's place. On the way to the cinema, everyone was curious about the scene between Izuku and Megan, as a happy Eri repeated to a smiling Megan that her dad was very cool. If your father is incredible, the Martian smiled. She already knew about Eri's relationship with Izuku. For her that was very normal. In the eyes of Izuku and Megan they did nothing wrong, but for Donna and the people around them they seemed like a small family. Oh guys, it finally arrives. Jessica stopped talking when she saw Izuku being taken by a beautiful girl her age while Eri was being carried by the same girl. What are you doing? A jealous Z shouted. Wow, I didn't know Izuku had a girlfriend, Garth said when he saw his friend with a cute girl, but that comment earned him a punch on the head from Kara. Don't be silly, the nerd doesn't have a girlfriend, she said, annoyed as she looked at the smiling girl who had Izuku. The others also felt jealous of the girl, although most of them did not admit it. Izuku caught their attention. I think I'll have to be more daring? Jessica thought, looking at Izuku. No. To like him, I just have to be myself, but maybe flirting with him a bit will help. Ah, she's beautiful, I don't have a chance, Karen thought, shrugging into her sweater, but Izuku doesn't just like her looks, right? Maybe I'll have a chance. Oh? Another girl made a move. Maybe that will make the others do it too. Barbara knew that the others had a thing for the freckled boy. She liked Izuku, but she wasn't sure if it was love. Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you all, I hope we get along well. The girl greeted, smiling and putting Eri down, but she was still holding Izuku in her arms. My name is Megan. Nice to meet you, I'm Garth, the little boy introduced himself, and so each one introduced herself, forcing a smile, well, not all of them. I'm Z Zatara and I won't let you keep Izuku. Z proclaimed, taking Izuku by the other arm, blushing as he felt her breasts. That scene was seen not only by his group but also by the people in the cinema. The women watched it with amusement, remembering how they fought over a boy, and the men watched Izuku with jealousy, even going as far as they went with their girlfriends. After that, everyone bought their tickets for the movie, except for Megan, who didn't have any money, and Izuku had to pay for her ticket, and Eri, for obvious reasons, Izuku also paid for it. 2 hours later, everyone left the theater amazed by how good the movie was. You were right, nerd, it was very good, said Kara, crossing her arms to Garth. I told you so. The boy said, celebrating. Boom. An explosion rang out and the boy saw a burning bank a few blocks away. Oh no, quick, you have to help, Donna said as she went with the girls to get changed. Megan, take Eri to the apartment, said Izuku, handing the albino girl over. Okay, when I'm done I'll come help, he said, and left while returning to his Martian form and flying with Eric. Hurry up, Garth, let's get changed, Izuku said, going into an alley. A few minutes later, the hero Deku along with the new hero Aqualad. Ha ha ha, I can't believe how easy that was, said a female voice coming out of the burning building carrying some bags full of cash, but she feels like an air pressure hits her, sending her a few meters to the side. If I were your best I'd give that back and surrender, said Aqualad, who was pointing a large ball of water from a hydrant at him. Listen and surrender, Izuku spoke, pointing his flexed fingers at the villainess as a sign that he released that air pressure. Oh, but we have the mini copy of Aquaman and the Green Bunny here, he said mockingly, why don't you come? At the moment of saying that he starts shooting fire in the direction of the heroes. Who is she? Aqualad asked. You don't know me, really? The woman asked indignantly. She is a volcano, she is a villain of Superman, she has pyrokinesis, she is very dangerous and deadly, said Izuku. He read about this villain in the files. Sometimes she has helped the League, other times she has not, and in some cases she has even been doing nothing for months. According to Batman and Superman, she is very unstable. Well, at least the bunny knows me, he said, smiling before throwing a fireball directly at Deku, who dodged it with the help of full cowling. Vi had long reddish hair that reached below her back, black eyes that turned red when using her fire, and tan skin. Her outfit was a small, tight black dress, a red jacket and red gloves and some heels. Now I know why Flash says that it's not just his fire that's hot, Deku said, unconsciously blushing Aqualad, who noticed the shape of the already volcanic villain. Although she had been called beautiful, sexy and hot, etc., for someone to say it as a simple compliment without hidden bad intentions was new. Oh, thanks bunny, maybe I won't burn you, he said with a smile, but then feeling the blow of a magical amethyst shock. Nobody but me calls him bunny, do you understand? Zatanna shouted as she appeared on the scene. Well, it seems the boy has his thing, doesn't he? Volcana asked mockingly upon seeing the jealous Zatanna. Maybe I'll take your bunny, magical girl. We will not allow it. Supergirl shouted, launching herself against the volcano that received the impact of the attack. The other girls got in on the action, including Miss Martin, Megan's superhero alias. Fabulous, the other brats have arrived, Volcana snorted, emanating fire from her hands and shooting it towards the others. Thanks to Aqualad and his control over water, they managed to put out the flames that were coming towards them. Supergirl, use your breath on her, that will stop her flames. And Aqualad, try to wet her, that should work. Deku ordered the team. With her 1 for all, 20% would be enough. After all, Volcana without her fire was a normal woman. Deku does it to Volcana, who smiled maliciously, preparing another flare. Take this. She couldn't finish. Before launching her attack, Deku hit the air, creating a pressure that sent her flying a few meters back. Damn it. That kid is very strong. She screamed, getting up in pain. And he's not the only one. Wonder Girl hit her in the face, throwing the. This will not stay like this. Volcana screamed, producing flames around it, burning one or another building. I'll take care of it. Supergirl shouted, using her breath to extinguish some of the. Leave it to me. Thanks to a hydrant, Aqualad was able to put out the entire fire caused by the villain. Damn you. Children, she shouted angrily, concentrating her fire into a giant ball. The others were evacuating the civilians while those who had a better advantage over the villain fought. Zatanna had just saved a family that was trapped in one of the buildings along with Jessica, when she saw the giant ball of fire. That will be a problem, he said, looking at the others. I'll take charge, said Megan, using her telepathy, trying to get into the villain's mind. Ah! Volcana let out a cry of pain as she grabbed her head. What are you doing, Miss Martin? Batgirl shouted after finishing saving civilians. I'm trying to make her faint, but it's very difficult. Megan had blue eyes as she battled internally to weaken Volcana. Aqualad. Quickly wet her, Deku shouted, and the named one made the request and soaked her, extinguishing the great ball of fire. Miss Martin, leave her, said Bumblebee. Megan left Volcana's mind, causing her to fall to her knees as she panted. Are you okay? Deku asked, showing genuine concern, which the villain noticed. Yes. I'm fine. Thank you, he said between gasps. Hey Volcana, I'm sorry but I have to send you to jail, said Izuku. Yes, I understand, could I have some dry clothes first? She asked, a little embarrassed that the boy saw her wet, and, don't look so much, idiot. Oh right. Sorry, Deku shouted with a bow. What was that? Asked an annoyed Supergirl watching the scene. Does Izuku like older girls? Megan asked innocently. I can't compete against an older woman. The frustrated girls thought. While they were handcuffing Volcana and waiting for the police to arrive to take her away, the pyrokinesis villain was receiving a talk from Deku. So you're going to try to be a model prisoner? Deku asked. Yes, maybe they'll get me out sooner. After all, he didn't kill anyone, he just burned down some buildings and tried to rob the bank, said Volcana, now with dry clothes thanks to the broth from his fire. I hope you get out soon, and what will you do if you get out? You can't steal again, said Deku, and the villain let out a small laugh. I won't steal again. I'm serious this time. I know I already told Superman, but this time I'll keep my word, Bunny, said Volcana. By the way, my real name is Claire Selton. And what will you do when you leave? Zatanna asked, although more out of curiosity. She wanted the fiery woman to stop talking to her bunny. You've maybe a teacher, I always wanted to be one, Claire replied. I don't think any school hires villains, no offense, said Supergirl. For that I would only have to cut my hair and dye it, as strange as it may seem, a hero or villain can be hidden in plain sight. Look at Superman for example, he doesn't wear a mask and still no one knows his identity. The same goes for Wonder Woman. Even most of you it was true. Something that Izuku noticed when he got here is that people don't notice when a hero is in his civilian form. With Superman he just wears glasses and that's it. With Diana he puts his hair up, with Donna the same, and Kara, Z and Jessica he has no idea. Well, it's true, I've been out before and no one discovered my identity, and I don't even wear anything on my face or have different hair, said Aqualad. They see just a small change and no one will know that I am Volcana. I could even try to be a heroine, they say? Claire asked more specifically to Deku. I think if you succeed you will be an example to follow, and I would love to be able to fight by your side, said Deku, smiling under the mask. I want it too, Bunny, he said, bothering the girls except Megan, who didn't understand anything. Oh, something else, I'm not Green Bunny, my hero name is Deku, I explained. I prefer more bunny on you, he said, winking at her. When the police come, we also have to tell them about corruption of minors, Wonder Girl whispered to the others, who nodded. Hey, I'm a pedophile. How old are you, Bunny? I asked politely. I'm 17, I turn 18 on July 15th, he replied. So one more year, huh? I can wait until then, Volcana said, shrugging her shoulders. What? You can't do that. Green Lantern shouted. Of course I can, honey, in a year he'll be 18 and legal, explained the fire villain. What's going on? Deku whispered to Aqualad and Miss Martin. I have no idea, replied the Martian. You're very lucky, my friend, that's all, Aqualad replied, giving Izuku a thumbs up. In the end the police arrived and took Volcana away without any resistance. After separating, everyone went back to their homes. Izuku, Donna and Megan were returned to the apartment. Are you saying that Megan will stay with Z? Donna asked her sister. Yes, John asked Z's father if she could stay for a while and then she will go live with her, Diana explained. So you won't stay with us? Eerie asked, lowering her head sadly. Don't be sad, Eerie, she can come whenever she wants, said Diana. Eerie is right, we can play whenever she comes, isn't it wonderful? Megan said, hugging Eerie. After a while Megan flew away to the address that Diana had given her through the mental link. Well, back to peace and quiet, sighed Izuku, lying down in his bed. Today was certainly a fun day, he even fought a big villain and made it go in the right direction. Izuku, can I talk to you for a moment? Donna said, poking her head through the door. Sure, come in, said Izuku, sitting on his bed, giving the indication to Donna to sit next to him. At the UA Academy, they have been spying and monitoring the situation of Izuku, Midoriya and Eerie for a few days, and they must say that it is very peculiar. The heroes who are in that world are too powerful and some do not have powers, but they can fight top heroes if they want to, like that hero who recently gained Midnight's attention. Batman was extremely smart and skilled, he knew many fighting styles and had many artifacts that could be used to fight crime and give him an advantage over powerful enemies. And tonight when the boys from 2A along with those from B, after finding out that Izuku and Eerie were living in another dimension, wanted to see him, and the surprise was great when they saw him fight against a woman who controlled the same style as Endeavor. But Mineta, Kaminari and Sarah almost died of jealousy when they saw how the hot villain flirted with their partner and called him Bunny. But they had to disconnect the drones after being accidentally burned in one of the villain's flares. Now Hatsune Miku had another one controlling it, moving it to Izuku's location, which was in his room. Deku-kun, it seems he's getting better, said Uraka, happy to see her crush in action, but she didn't like the villain who was flirting with him at all. It's Midoriya-san who will always look for ways to improve, Momo said, as if it were the simplest thing there is. If I didn't know you well I'd say you were spying on him when he was training, Jiru said, jokingly, making the rich girl blush. Nobody knew it, but in fact I did spy on him during his training sessions. Look, it's that girl again, Toru said, and the girls looked at the screen. Izuku, how to say it, sorry, said Donna, confusing him. I mean sorry about this afternoon, in the bathroom. Izuku blushed as he remembered. Oh? Why yes, no problem. In fact, I think it was my fault. But I'll tell you this once, Izuku, and I hope you understand, Donna said seriously. If you're naked in a room with any girl I'll get mad, and you don't want to see me mad, do you? And no. Izuku stood up straight and gave a military salute. And with older women you don't pretend you're understood. Volcana now thinks she can wait until you're 18 to try something with you, Donna said, annoyed, and you have to do something too. For example, you could have told her that you weren't interested in her. Sorry, it won't happen again, said Izuku dejectedly. I hope so, Donna sighed. That conversation left many perplexed. No one could believe that the cinnamon roll of Class A, could be naked with a woman in a room and that an older woman would wait until Izuku was legal to try something with him. Where is the shy Midoriya? Kaminari asked himself, crying for the fate of others. This couldn't be worse, Mineta said, crying. They're disgusting, Karo said, Tsuyu, seeing the pitiful boys. Class B was no better. Many of the boys were jealous and the girls were surprised by what Midoriya did. For many girls, the most shy and tender guy in the academy is a sweetheart who wouldn't do anything perverted to any girl. But two girls in particular felt a pang in their chest. A chestnut with a somewhat round face and a black-haired woman with large frontal proportions. I think I'll have to follow my sister's advice, Dana said, getting Izuku's attention. What are you talking about? The green-haired boy asked. Dana got closer to Izuku until their faces were just a few centimeters away from colliding. I like you, Izuku, Dana said, and proceeded to kiss Izuku, an inexperienced and clumsy kiss but one that contained all the affection she had for the boy. Izuku was paralyzed. A girl was kissing him. This has never happened to him before and he couldn't imagine that the first one would be Dana. The only thing he could do was reciprocate as best he could. Separating with a blush, Dana looked at Izuku. Izuku, I really like you, seriously, she said between gasps, I'll give you time to tell you. Dana got up from the bed and walked to the door before opening it to leave. She turned to look at a stunned Izuku. I'll wait for you, Izuku. You don't have to decide in a hurry. Ooh, okay. Izuku could barely get a word out after what happened. Good night, Izu, Dana said as she left the room. Nobody believed what they saw, a girl who in everyone's opinion was very beautiful, even Todoroki himself was asexual. She declared herself to Izuku as one of the most shy and nervous boys they know. The women saw such a scene in a tender way. That girl knew what she wanted and took a big step by kissing him and leaving him in shock. I would even wait for Izuku to have his feelings clear before having a relationship. Well, except for two girls who saw that scene with pressure on their chest. Wow, good for Midoriya, Mei said, but we have to go, the drones need to recharge and we have classes tomorrow. With that said, everyone went to their bedrooms, but two girls just wanted to go to their rooms so the pillow could drown their cries. It can't be that I kissed him. Dana mentally screamed as she sat on her bed while brushing Eri. Tell me, Eri, do you want to have a mommy? A mom? That would be fabulous, Eri said. Why do you ask? Well, this is a secret, but maybe soon you'll have a mom, Dana said, smiling excitedly at Eri. While in Izuku's room, he was in a dilemma. On the one hand, he liked Dana in some way. He wouldn't deny that she was beautiful, but he wasn't sure if he should be her boyfriend so quickly, and on the other hand, he was sure that Z also had feelings for him. What should I do? He asked himself before going to bed and finally falling asleep.